conference is already in progress. You are joining your conference as a participant.
Gus just came aboard.
Good morning.
Hey, Gus.
How you doing?
Good, Gus. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I guess we're waiting for Arnie and Jim Breslin and Bob Gito. I think that's it.
What is Jim's job?
Jim Breslin?
Yes.
He's kind of in the demand forecasting group, and so he's trying to keep the coordination going of materials and making sure that there are no major issues, and being kind of the guy that gets information to Delray.
Got it.
Who just came on, please?
Matamoros, Jim.
Hey, Arnie. We got Gus and John Xiamen on the phone.
Good morning, Arnie.
How you doing, guys?
Doing good.
Good, Arnie. Come on, don't lie to me.
Too many sleepless nights.
Hey, Arnie, did you go out and buy a block of Sunbeam stock yesterday? Is that why it went up to 3/16?
Only 20,000.
That's not enough. That's not going to make it flick like that.
20,000 pesos, okay?
I bought 100,000 shares at 8.
20,000 pesos. What's that, about a quarter of a share? Unbelievable.
That's right.
It's just a matter of confidence.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is.
You can't believe my golf game when I've got a lot of confidence. I can putt like a wild man. I lose confidence. There goes my game.
Talk to Payne Stewart about that.
He had a problem with that, didn't he?
The only difference is I don't think your golf game has $200,000 on the line.
$2.
Yeah. That's enough pressure, right?
That's it.
Fine. But you still can't cry for him. He still walked away with $300,000.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, the winner got, Jansen got $535,000.
Oh my God.
And I think $315,000 was second place.
No wonder his wife was so happy.
Yeah, right.
She already had it spent.
Happy plus a 10-year exemption, right?
Oh.
So,
That's worth a lot right there.
yeah. Not too hard to take. Yeah, I assume that Joy and Bob are going to come on. We'll wait a few more minutes. If not, we'll get started so we don't tie everybody up too long.
Arnie, I just got the paperwork on all the parts shipments. It looks like we got some sizable numbers starting to come out.
That's what kind of parts you talking about? Are these?
These are the parts that Arnie wants from our suppliers. These are the parts that are nicely sharp tools. Unlike the problems she's been facing down in Mexicana.
These are stent or control parts?
Yeah.
Old style.
Correct.
The only style.
Eh,
The only style.
that's right.
Hey, it's the only style, right? Isn't there, aren't we talking?
Jim, was the recall on the redesign?
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Gus.
Was the recall on the redesign controls? I heard something about it being...
Redesign blankets, so the redesigned blankets and controls.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
And is that what we're calling a TB and a TC?
That was going to be the future. No.
That was the predecessor of the TDs
Yeah,
and all
it
that.
was. The TB, TC, and TD were all going to be the redesigned controls.
So it was a pilot quantity that was built with that new design.
Right.
temperature or limit?
Yeah, we put it out with the notion of putting out a specific quantity to get a readout in the marketplace, and then we were going to go into full production, assuming that everything went well.
So now what's it up for a redesign?
Yeah, a redesign of the redesign. And there are a group of folks that are already working on that, and what comes out of that will dictate what happens from both a blanket standpoint, from the standpoint of the wire, which we'll have to do some work here, and then if there is any change in the controls, what that will look like, which we will have to get that information to you.
Wow.
But it's too early to give you any detail at this point in time, other than to say both are being looked at.
Yeah.
Okay? That's where we are right now, Gus. Other than handling a potload of blankets.
Oh, jeez.
Who just came on, please?
Jim, this is Joy.
Hey, Joy, how are you?
Good. Sorry I'm late. I was on the phone with the lawyers.
That's okay. I think we've got everybody. We'll get going at this point
Jim
in
is
time.
joining on in a minute. He's got a Clipper issue that he's working on right now.
Okay. Well, we'll get started, and Jim can join us while we're going along.
Okay.
Gus, why don't we start with you on where we are with the various controls that you're in the process of pulling together.
Okay. We will have, by next Wednesday, the 12 samples of the Japanese and 12 samples of the MO80 for resubmission. We have to, for the MO80s, we have to tune up the tool for the clamshell housing in line with the problems that we found with our first set of samples. Feedback that I'm getting from everybody on the samples that we submitted seems to be that the function looks good. The same applies to the Japanese samples that we submitted. Charles ran some tests on those, and they appear to be functioning just fine. We're now working on the clamshell housing, and once that's completed, we'll resubmit the dozen samples of each that we need for Dave Vanderlind's submission to the agencies.
What was the problem on the clamshell, Gus, you know?
The way the housing is tooled, one of the female connectors was sliding back when we pressed it into the blanket connector.
Okay.
It's kind of not an unusual problem with first piece samples off the tool like that.
Okay.
So we're tightening up that area and adjusting so that it'll hold properly.
The sample that we got here, Gus, are those out of the same batch that you're talking about? I mean, the sample that Charles has got today, the ones that I received previously?
Yes,
Same thing?
that's correct.
Okay, because I'm seeing a couple of problems here,
Okay.
and I can see the screw almost protruding on the opposite side of the shell. You know, there's just a little tip,
Yes,
the tip of the screw
yes.
almost coming through. And just for your information, out of the 4 samples that we had, as you're aware, one failed below the 900 cycles.
Yeah, this is on the cord set test?
Yes, on the core set test. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is that the ones that did not fail on the same cord, which is the deep side of the core set.
Yes.
And every one of them is failing right at the exit point from the clamshell. Okay?
And how long did the others go? 1,500 cycles plus?
I don't have the average. I believe the other went like 1,500 cycles or so.
Okay.
So all I wanted to bring it up is because it is sailing on the same side, just exactly at the same point. And but I'm going to do. I'm expecting sample from Charles Muir now. Like we don't have any more.
Yeah, Arnie, we got those sent UPS ready to the Brownsville.
Okay. And what I'm going to do meantime, I'm going to reverse the cord inside the clamshell, just put new terminals and retest it.
Yes.
just to see if we see the failure on the bead side or we get the failure on the same side of the clamshell.
Understood. Yeah.
Just to see if we have a copper problem or we have a problem with the clamshell itself.
Yes.
Pinching or somehow affecting the performance of the cord right there.
Okay.
The one is broken exactly on the edge of the clamshell.
Now that failed at like 825 of the 900 cycles?
Yes.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is the other three samples that were taken to failure, they fail at the same point on the same cord.
Understood.
Which is the bead side of the cord. So that's what I'm saying. This could be the clamshell or the copper badge, which you normally use the same reel when you extruded this thing.
Yes.
So you were just trying to determine if this is related to copper or this is related to the clamshell itself. So we'll feed you that information, I guess, later today as we just discussed that, and we are putting those additional samples from the same batch of cord that I have, and we'll bring Charles samples to do additional testing.
Okay. Now, for everybody else's benefit, we've got two issues here. We've got trying to get up to speed on supplying cords to Arnie for his production, and that's somewhat related to the approval of the MO80, but it's a separate issue. Now, we've also got samples on their way to both Charles and to Peter that were sent on Monday by FedEx, and I'm trying to track those now to find out when they'll be delivered. In those samples to Charles, there are 12 pieces of an MO80 single and 5 pieces of a Japanese control, and to Peter 12 pieces of each. And these are from the supplier Sunbeam. Sunbeam has been the long-term supplier to Sunbeam for really just the international cords. I've heard kind of off and on over the past few weeks that Sunbeam is only the international supplier, but in fact they have the ability to extrude the 3-conductor wire for the blanket control. So, and we would like them to be our supplier for the single cord that Arnie needs. So we're submitting those samples. We do not have them currently tooled, although they're in the process of doing it for the strain relief. So these samples are really for the rotational type testing that Arnie's talking about now. We'd like to have the cord measured and people look at it from a flex standpoint and make sure that the plug end is okay and make sure that the cord material is okay.
Hey, you're saying plug in, you talking about the power plug?
Yes.
Well, let me say this, we actually had flexed. We had some Sunbeam cords, and we actually flexed the power plug cap on those when we got over 3,000 flexes.
So we kind of already know that they're okay.
Yeah, we also know that UL has approved Sunbeam cords.
Excellent. So that should go through piece of
Haven't
cake.
done the rotational test on the Sunbeam cord, but the power plug did pass.
Do you think we can jury rig a setup to do that
On
on the samples that you're going to be receiving in the next day or so?
will they be without clamshells?
These will be without clamshells. And that's the way we will supply the initial production. We don't have a clamshell for a single right now.
I wonder if we've got any. Well, we could pull some off, probably some regular, because my understanding is Arnie will just continue at this point to assemble the standard Sunbeam clamshell and flex card. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, we could probably pull some off the regular controls and set that up.
Or we could get something extra.
I've given to Arnie and a few other people the schedule that we've got from New Tech. They're gearing up and running at a fever pitch right now. The schedule that I gave Arnie seems to be acceptable. John and he have reviewed it, and I think it looks okay for the dual. We're trying to meet the schedules that John gave me for the DV1 and the singles, and we'll try and minimize the air shipping cost, because, as everybody knows, the air shipping cost is is on us.
Gus, on these samples that you're putting together for the the ULP, you're going to submit 12 samples of the single, the DB1 and the DB2?
No. We're going to submit 12 samples of the dual, the DB1, and then the single when we get the clamshell for the single tool done. Those are the dual and the DB1 take the same clamshell.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but these don't open up. Can you increase those samples? Can you send 12 of each of those also to me for just the qualification testing? Because I haven't got but that one single control that you left here that day.
And nobody seemed to want those controls that we brought. What did we do? Leave all the Japanese in Hattiesburg to be sent to you?
Wait, say that again? The Japanese?
The Japanese, you ended up with all of them, right?
Well, I've got those first units of Japan that you sent that had everything except the belt ring, and I think there was another component that was missing on there.
Right.
And but we need 12 more of those also for submittal to ERA over in England.
Exactly.
We need some additional samples of, like the MO controls.
Yes.
As you get them, the DB1, the twin, and the DB2, to where we can just run it through the full bank of tests.
Okay. Now, we know that when we brought the first piece samples over, those were, hot off the press.
Yeah, you're talking about the Japanese?
No, the DBs.
Yeah, but Fogo took all those back except one unit.
Well, I think we only had 4 with us.
Right. But there's like 25, we kind of got our qualification piece put together. There's like 25 tests we got to go through. There's going to be some humidity,
Okay.
hot, cold.
So we'll go for 24 samples. Is that enough?
Yeah, once you do that, and Arnie and Peter's going to need some too.
How many for Arnie?
I would say the same amount. We're trying to do, kind of duplicate the test.
Same amount being 24?
24 of each.
So you want 48?
Right.
On top of the 12 going?
Yeah, because those going to UL, we won't even see those.
Okay, so that's 48, 24 for each on top of the 12 that's going in for the UL approval. So 24 to Matamoros and 24 to...
Now we're up to 60.
Yeah. You're right, Gus. So what we're saying is 12 samples that you were planning to send for agency approval.
Right.
Plus 24 samples of each to Matamoros and 24 samples of each to Waynesboro to do the testing.
Got it.
Okay. Very good. Okay, Gus. How about...
Jim?
Yeah, Arnie, go ahead.
Excuse me, before we move out of this subject, would anybody remind me at least, what are we standing with UL of the court alone, or either Santai or Newtek?
Well, on Santai, I've got a piece of paper. It doesn't say, basically it states the file number and the submittal that Dave Maryland did for the Santai court. That they had completed the test and it was in compliance. Basically, there'd be more paperwork following, but basically it says the Santai court is approved.
All right.
That's the only difference was they didn't have approval for the 3 conductor at the time. They already had pre-approval on the power cord and for the 2 conductor cord, but the 3 conductor wasn't approved, but it is approved now.
Okay, so Santai is basically ready to ship, although they're About the new tag.
New tech was submitted, the paperwork and everything was submitted Monday of this week. And Dave is expecting about a week to a week and a half. It's the worst case, about a week and a half to get the same type of approval on a file transfer.
All right. Now, I'm assuming that the cords that are on the way, John, will not have any UL labels on them, right?
They will not have any UL labels. That's correct.
How are we going to handle those?
What UL label is needed?
It's, from what I understand, it's not required. There's no stamping required on that.
There's no marking on the 3 conductor.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean the containers for the cords usually have to have a label.
The containers.
Yeah, that's the only way that the UL inspector here will know that they are coming from a UL approved site.
That's right. And I believe the containers do have a UL mark. They have our UL number on them.
You mean the boxes?
The boxes.
I haven't heard anything about this for new tech.
You're right. You haven't. Let me get you all the details for that, Gus. I've got to get them from Vanderlyn.
Now these guys are being approved under the Sunbeam umbrella as an alternate manufacturing location.
That's my understanding.
Right. So they're using our UL number. That's the way I
Okay. If they're supposed to be putting something on the boxes, they're going to be starting to put things in boxes fairly quick.
Okay.
We need to mark the boxes somehow. We need to know that right away.
I'll get that data for you today from Steve. Or David, I mean.
Okay, because I know my inspector locally have been coming through for so many years that I know he's going to be looking for that.
Okay.
Okay.
John, are you going to contact Dave Vanderlyn on that, or?
Yeah, I'm going to contact him and find out, and then I'll have to give Gus a call, or if he wants me to call New Tech, whatever it was.
I haven't. Are we done with the cords?
Anybody else have any questions on the cords? Go ahead, Gus.
I have a problem with the Japanese control. We have everything taken care of, and of all things, we're short 9,000 knobs.
Okay, Gus, this is Faye.
Yes.
I talked with the GE representative today.
Yes.
They do have the same material that we're using, right, or the knobs are molded out in stock. It's a little different shade of white. They are sending color chips to Joy Armstrong today, which she should have it probably Friday, but definitely no later than Monday, for her to approve the little different shade of color. And once we have that, they have material in stock. They only need 150 pounds to mold those 9,000 knobs.
Yes.
We can get 3 bags, which would be 165 pounds, shipped immediately once we have the color approval.
You're a miracle worker.
Oh, gee. So as soon as we get this color approval from Joy, which she doesn't have the color chips yet, they're shipping today,
Okay.
then she'll have them either Friday or Monday, and then we'll get that material shipped to Prolific.
Great. Well, the knob color doesn't match the body color to begin with, so
Right,
maybe
it's today.
maybe the material, maybe this chip will look even closer to the body.
I think you're getting Chinese size now, Gus.
Easy, easy.
I see polarized light now.
Okay. Gus, anything else from your standpoint on the control?
No.
Okay. Now, question for Charles and everybody. When do we anticipate approval for the Japanese controls? Do we have any idea on that?
Well, we can't, they won't even start it at ERA until they've received the final samples with everything on it. We got to get those in and then send them to Cloud Trunksville.
Okay.
How long will that take?
about 3 weeks.
I've
I've got the information on the, I'm holding the information where you got the vendor list.
Yes?
You know, there's a component of the vendor list. That should be okay on that piece. And, I mean, as soon as we can get the, like the final controls of,
The only piece we're having problems with right now is that felt material. And I think Fogel will fix that in the next day or two.
Pam, are you on the line? Pam's not on the line. Okay, here's our situation. We will start producing the product for Japan, blankets, July the 13th. And we will complete that production by the end of July. And then all of that stuff will be shipped to China for repacking. At that point in time, we will need the controls. So the controls will probably be needed sometime middle of August to end of August, since we won't be shipping everything at the end of July. We'll be shipping it as we're producing.
And are they going by ocean?
They're going by ocean.
Oh, okay.
So that means that if we start shipping the middle of July, the first shipment will arrive over there the middle of August, and the last shipment the end of August, and they'll be packing out to put it into the final product.
Has the agreement been made on who's doing the packing out?
If it has, we are not aware of that. John, do you know anything about that?
I thought that was finalized, but I'll have to get to Brian Wood and find out what the result was. But I thought he said it was finalized, but I'll find out and get back to you and Gus.
The last time I touched it with Brian, which was probably 10 days ago, he had gotten a quote from Sam Kuhn.
Right.
And I thought that's where he was headed.
That's the way I understand it too, but I'd sure like to have someone.
Well, that would sure make the coordination fairly easy.
Gus, assuming that we have to have some of these Japanese controls to whoever is going to pack out by the middle of August, and have it all completed by the third week in August. What does the backup for you, how long is it going to take you to produce them once you get approval?
I would say this is not a problem.
Not a problem from a production standpoint.
That's correct. We felt like 3 to 4 weeks maximum to produce all 83,000.
3 to 4 weeks. Produce. So that means if that's the case, we need to have the approval by the middle of July.
Yeah, I would say we'll start shipping about, if the approval cycle goes the way we expect it to, we'll be producing controls about the time you start shipping.
Okay, so you'll start producing middle of July.
Right.
Okay. So the key thing for us now is making sure that the approval process stays on track.
Right.
And what Charles was at a meeting in Hattiesburg on Monday, talking about all of the approval processes and what we have to do.
Yeah, we got some missing products, so this is on. That's like an alternate vendor with ERA.
So that's going to be a whole process.
That's the Japan after that.
Is the control approved in Japan now? Or is it close?
Clive is getting close on the, it's not Clive, but he's doing the test on the U.S. built controls at the moment on the product, and I think he's pretty close on that piece. They're doing some other tests on the blanket piece right now.
Okay, anything else around the work that Gus is doing?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions for Gus. It's Charles again. Gus, I saw a couple emails that came in on the backplate label artwork for your controls. Is that a problem? Because you sent a control that already had that on there.
It was an issue that Dave Vanderlyn brought up while we were in Hattiesburg. And he said, and Scott Duplantis said that they would probably be changing the part number for the location of manufacture. And at that point, Scott said that he would make up some new artwork for it. It's not really artwork, it's more lettering.
Well, who did the artwork on the backplate label you submitted? I guess is my question. The only piece of information I've got that said it needed indicated on the backplate was just the control is supposed to just say made in China and not with not all that with U.S. components and everything. The only other thing it mentioned on here was it should say TM Tom, Mary, Lonnie on TML as a factory ID.
Yes, that's what we selected. Thermaster Limited.
But I guess my question is, if somebody laid out the artwork on that backplate label that was submitted
On the samples?
Yeah.
That would be Microsoft.
Well, I mean, it looks just like our fonts and everything we've been using.
Well, Microsoft has a lot of fonts.
Well, what I'm saying is that whoever laid that out, if you could just change, just put the TML.
I agree 100%, but suppose we put it in the wrong place and we make 100,000 controls.
Well, I don't think UL really specifies where TML has to go.
Well, I would like Sunbeam to specify that instead of us selecting. And control assembled in China. Do we want anything having to do with U.S. components?
Let me do this.
All we
I'll
did
get
was
back with Scott Duplantis on here because he's up here asking me to give him artwork. I can't give him artwork.
I don't need artwork. All I need is what the letters. I mean, you can do it on a computer screen.
Okay. Let me get back with Scott and.
Because he was talking about changing the part number from 16907-031 to -030 something else to designate where it was manufactured.
Well, if you're gonna add all that other stuff on there, it's probably true because if anybody had to, relabel them or something, it probably had another dash number. Let me do this. When we get off this conversation today, I'll get back to them and see if we can get something moving on that real quick.
I just need to know how the wording should be laid out and what it should say. I don't want to do it wrong.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for Gus?
Gus, I have one question. This is Faye. When Joy approves the color that we sent her up from the color chip,
Yes.
do you want us to call you and tell you which item number Prolific is to order from GE, or do you want to give me a contact phone number for a person to contact at Prolific?
I think I'd rather do the latter, although we will end up placing the purchase order. I just want to make sure the coordination is done as quickly as possible. My problem is I'm getting ready to travel to Mexico next week, and I don't want to leave the ball hanging.
Okay.
And if I speak with the guy at Prolific and let him know what's going on, they'll be on the lookout for it. He said it would only take a couple of 3 days to run the 9,000 pieces for us.
Right. So you're going to have him somebody call me. I just need a name and a telephone number to contact.
I can't find my notes right now, but I'll email that to you.
Okay.
Hey, are they also sending me a copy of a sample of what they've been previously using? I know Ona had mentioned that.
I don't know that because she set it up with Laurie at GE. I can call her and find out.
Okay.
She probably is, but I will check. Giving it out today, so I'll check with her to be sure.
Okay.
Faye, just to shortcut things, the gentleman's name is Jerry Plath, Plath. Prolific Plastics, 800-676-6910, extension 207. And you have the material number that I gave you the other day, right?
As soon as we give the specific color that we want, then we'll have that material number, and we will call him and give him the material number to order from GE.
Excellent.
Anything else for Gus? If not, we will move on to Arnie. Arnie,
Yes.
why don't you give everybody an update on where you are relative to building controls and how you're managing through that with all the other things you've got going on.
Well, we just continue doing our daily thing, and my only problem, as you're aware, is just part supply from Mexico. And I guess that will continue until I start receiving some of the parts that we ordered from Third for the pilot.
How is that coming, Gus? Do you know?
We are just making shipments now. We shipped 500,000 of the switch springs and a series of the other parts that I sent to Anna yesterday, Arnie.
Right?
I assume you saw that.
No, I have not, but I want to check it out with her.
The volumes are starting to get pretty good. They're 100,000, 216,000, 400,000. I mean, the numbers are starting to look pretty good. Probably the biggest holdup on this was getting it re-entered in the computer at the correct pricing.
I believe that it has been done already.
Yes, it is. And Anna's got my report on that, along with my schedule.
Okay.
We probably need to tweak those orders to be what you really want from us.
Well, actually, we will have to do something about that, because before we continue receiving from Mexicana, we probably want to drop a little bit the quantities at the tail end of the order.
Yes.
That's something we're working on right now, because Mexicana, they continue producing, so it's not going to affect now. But yes, we want to review those, revisit those numbers. Okay. And anyhow, for controls, that's one of the limitations right now, Jim. And we are working on the Chinese control, as you're aware.
Right.
You know, and I guess we are not going to get the approval from the court, blanket end of the court.
No.
So I'm cutting to size, and you know, we're still going to be very close. I mean, above the order, but short. I don't know, maybe 7,000 cords.
Yeah. And to that point, let me just bring everybody else up to date, Arnie. We had asked Tony and his group if we could cut to a shorter length so we could make all of the product for them. And they said no, they did not want to do that. And so that's why Arnie's building to this level. We are going to be sending them a certain amount of Arlington second quality product. So what we'll do is we'll send those blankets to them. They will not have controls for them. And then somewhere along the line, we'll have to have those controls made by Thermaster, probably sometime in 1999. And that's when they'll pack those out and sell them as second quality in whatever second quality market they have over in Asia. So that's how we're handling that. And that right now looks like it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 6,000 to 7,000 controls.
Okay, well, so that's going to be pretty close.
So that's where we are on that piece, and Arnie is moving forward with that.
Okay, so all the other controls are running. You know, we are having some problems with DMI, which is the supplier now for some of the molded cases or molded parts. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, you know, we have just been basically from hand to mouth and in keeping the lines going. Okay? You know, there is no major problem anticipated right now. So we just continue controls. That's the only one thing that is to be going good, and you know, because of shortages, we're kind of just barely picking up. But we are not foreseeing any problems with maintaining the plan as it is today.
Okay, Arnie, one thing when we talked to Tony and Joyce, they were asking about this backplate label for the Chinese, and we told them that we couldn't deal with that they should deal directly with you and your people. I noticed that they sent some information, or wanted to send some information on the film or whatever to get these labels printed. And I saw an email this morning that they were just looking for an address from you guys. I don't know if you had a chance to send it yet so that they could get it to you.
Well, I haven't seen any email addressed to me, but
It might have been sent to Rosie.
okay, Rosie's
And Rosie's in Hattiesburg, right?
yes.
Hey, that might be the problem. But Joyce is looking for an address.
Okay, why don't you forward to me your copy, if you don't mind, Jim?
I will do that.
I will just send it right back.
Okay. Very good. After this meeting, I'll email it to you.
All right, thank you.
Arnie, any other stuff relative to the controls?
No,
Okay. Are you still making UK Europe, or are you done with that?
we made I believe it was the UK. That was a schedule 20-something thousand,
Uh-huh.
and we got into the Chinese now.
Okay. Very good. Super. Okay. Anybody have any questions for Arnie? Okay. Any other subjects or questions that anybody has? John, anything from your standpoint?
No, the Gus covered my stuff quite well there.
Okay.
I've got another serious issue that I need to address.
Go ahead, Gus.
For those of you that haven't met me yet, we've been involved in this program since mid to late March. And when we joined the team, the Sunbeam team, to be your supplier for the controls, our objective was to build the TB and TC model that have kind of dried up and gone away. And we hopped right into the MO80, followed by the SP50, then the Japanese electronic control. Then we got involved in making parts, supplying parts to Arnie off of our new tools, and now blanket cords. And we're just reaching a point at which we're getting tapped out. We've invested in our own equipment and tooling and inventory and factory renovation to build this control, somewhere on the order of $500,000. When we add to that parts for Matamoros that we have to buy from our vendors to the tune of about $300,000, and then add to that blanket cords that have come on hot and heavy in the past couple of weeks. And in the next 30 days, we're going to have to get about 1 million cords plus purchased and shipped to the tune of about close to $1.5 million, including air freight. And we've been running hot and heavy at a real fever pitch, and I'm afraid that Thermaster is not the size company that can finance this kind of stuff. I've addressed this with a few people, and I can't seem to get the right direction. And I need somebody in this group, because this is the only group that I know, to give me a little help and a little direction on how to handle this thing. We've got an awful lot hanging out with vendors that we've got in China, and unlike U.S. vendors, they don't wait to get paid. We have to, for example, with New Tech, we had to pay some air freight that Santai had paid for Heiko terminals. We can't run these cords without the Heiko terminals, to the tune of about 13,000 Hong Kong dollars. We had to pay tooling up front for New Tech to tool up the strain relief and the attaching dies to the tune of about 50,000 Hong Kong dollars. And of all things, we had to issue a letter of credit for companies that they don't know, and they know that these cords are going to, for example, Sunbeam in the U.S. They don't know Sunbeam in the U.S. So we're going to have to pay that money up front. This program has really become a body of its own. About 6 weeks ago, Brian Wood asked me if we would make 83,000 electronic Japanese controls because of a problem that they had with their current vendor, and we hopped on the bandwagon and said, yes, we can do it. Oh, by the way, you're going to need some equipment from Matamoros. We're going to want you to make 83,000 controls, and you'll need a load bank tester, and oh, by the way, you'll probably also need a printing machine, and oh, well, now these parts are shipped. The load bank tester with an invoice for $21,000. The heat transfer machine that now we've discovered really we don't need because we could use silk screening to the tune of $4,000. These invoices are mounting up, and I'm starting to get done from Sunbeam's accounts receivable department. The last discussion that I had with anybody on the issue of the equipment that is sitting in Matamoros now was a discussion that I had about 6 weeks ago, the first day that I met Michael Ritter, standing in the control room in Matamoros. And he looked over the room and said to me, Gus, we got to move this equipment out of here. We want Thermaster to buy the equipment. I said, Arnie needs this equipment. We can't buy it. And besides, what's it worth? This is very specialized equipment that does nothing but make controls for blankets. And at that time, I said to him, what we'd like to do is offer you $1 for this equipment. If we have to pay the shipping cost to ship this equipment to China, it's going to be a considerable amount of money. And what will Sunbeam do with this equipment when Arnie stops producing controls? They'll either put it in a warehouse and store it, let it rust, or they'll sell it by the pound, because it has really no other value. You can't make a blender with it, you can't make an iron with it, you can't make a coffee maker with it. It's only for blanket controls. And if we're your partner, Sunbeam should sell that to us at essentially no cost. And the equipment can remain on Sunbeam's built books or whatever you want to do with it. But we would be better off going out and buying new equipment than patching that stuff up at the kinds of numbers that I'm seeing now for costs. And it's reaching a point at which the system is running, invoices are being issued, and nobody is really saying, what do we want Thermaster to do for us other than spend more money? One of the other things that was sent over about a month ago was a complete workstation, along with some old baths and excess baths that Arnie had around. And again, we got an invoice for $8,000 for that equipment. And my problem is, I've got a moving target, and I have no place to go except for this group for these kinds of issues. I started out with Ray Montgomery. It went to Brian Wood. Brian was moved over. Then it went to Mike Ritter. Then it went to Charlie James, and now it's in John Zonnen's hands. And I've got a lot of respect for John, and he's busting his hump. But he's been with Sunbeam for about 2 months, and he's lucky he knows where the bathroom is. So, I'm dealing with non-Sunbeam people when it comes to finances. There's an outsourced accounts payable department called NPC. There's an outsourced receivable department called CIT that I just found out about 2 days ago when they called me and said, you owe us $812.60 and $3.14 and $4,800. When are you going to pay this? The only invoices that I've received from Sunbeam are invoices that I've gotten from Victor Lopez when shipments are going from Brownsville to Chicago. I've not received any invoices for parts that Sunbeam Hattiesburg has supplied to us. I've received packing lists, bills of lading, but no invoices. And it's become a very serious issue. We're being asked to finance this cord set situation, and I'm sorry, but $1.5 million we can't afford it. And the payment terms that are set up now are net 30, and nobody really knows what net 30 means. Net 30 to us means 30 days after the date of invoice. If that means that we ship on day 1, it could be 30 days before they arrive at Brownsville. And now the invoice is due. But your accounts payable department won't pay until there's a receiver issued. And I'm hearing things from people like Brian and Mike Ritter. Oh, the best way to assure that you're going to be paid is to put the receiver number from Brownsville on your invoice. Well, does that mean that the clock will start ticking when I issue the invoice with a receiver number on it 30 days after we shipped it, and then we get paid 30 days after that? That means we're hanging out there for 2 months. I don't think Sunbeam wants to do that with us. And I don't think that this is an issue that I can resolve with Sunbeam's outsourced people who are in the payables and receivables department. I need somebody with a Sunbeam ID badge to make these kinds of decisions and help us through this.
Okay.
We're suffering through some sleepless nights and some problems that all relate to financing, that are related to how big this project has become. It's no longer a TV and a TC. We can handle the MO80, but we're having a tough time with these cord sets and the parts from Matamoros and all the other parts that we're supplying. We're going to have to supply from these vendors over there.
John?
Yes.
Have you had any discussions with people about these issues that...
Right. I'm working with Charlie James, and it sounds like what we've got to do, just to start this thing off, is get those terms changed so they're due net. So whenever when that invoice hits, and they can match it to a receiver that they pay that same week. That's the only thing on the terms that we've been able to come up with quickly. We've also got we're trying to address this problem with the receiver number. You know, why that's got to be totally necessary like it is, because there's 2 receiver numbers, and I'm totally confused with what they are. But one the receiver puts on it, and the other is the computer system that the accounts payable people use. There's 2 different receiver numbers. I'm trying to get that worked out, find out which one we're talking about.
Okay, so you're in the middle of it, because what I was going to say is, based on what Gus has brought up, I mean, if we've asked Thermaster to come in and jump through hoops for all of these things, obviously I don't think there's any of us on the phone from Sunbeam that want to put them in such a crack that financially they can't continue to support our needs.
That's right, and there's probably other things we should have done, and probably parts that we shipped them, we should have owned those parts until final payment time.
Yeah.
We could have done that, and in the future we should do that, where there are parts, even when he's using them over in China, and that we don't get payment for them until we paid him on the final product.
We can issue an invoice with credits on it.
Okay, well, rather than solve the whole thing, John, you're taking the lead on that.
Yes, it looks like I'm right in the middle of it now, trying to get it across.
Well, I would like to do, at least for the parts, not just the parts, but the parts and the cord sets, the products that we are acting on your behalf in China, where we are working with our Chinese vendors and we are spending our money on Sunbeam's behalf, that we do with Sunbeam what our U.S. suppliers do with us. Our U.S. suppliers don't offer credit to a Chinese manufacturer. That's just a fact of life. We have to pay on a pro forma invoice before the freight is shipped. And these are with companies like Texas Instruments and Derringer and those companies, and parts that we need to supply, in order to supply control to you guys. And there must be a way in the system, and I don't want to go so far as to say a letter of credit, but a pro forma invoice before we ship the goods out of Hong Kong should be achievable.
Yes, it is. Gus, there is a way of doing that.
That's when we're going going to have
I'd
to
like
pay.
to get some heavyweights involved with that, though, so I have their approval before we go ahead with it. But I mean, I'm only hours away from getting that, so we can do something like
And who is that, Charlie James?
Well, no, Charlie's, yeah, that's the contact I'm going through. Of course, he's going to other people.
Okay.
Well, I think, John, from your standpoint, since it really does fall in your area, we'll ask you to continue to take the lead.
Okay, and I'll just report to you.
I think from my standpoint, if you run into roadblocks, then you need to let me know, me and Arnie, and we'll go up through our chain of command and see if we can also force the issue to get you further support.
Good.
So that you can get these things resolved.
All right, I might need that.
Okay?
It's hung up.
I think that would be the best way of approaching it so that we can resolve some of these issues for Gus.
John,
Yes.
there is one more name that you need to be after, and that is who is putting the price on that equipment that we have been shipping to Master. Because I know we have been adding some made-up numbers so we can ship out the equipment. But from the numbers that Gus is coming back, they are certainly not even the numbers that we have been using.
Yeah, Arnie, I thought the same thing. That it sounds. I didn't know that was all going on. I really didn't. I thought Michael was behind that. I'll call Michael today and find out what's going on. Maybe we can trace it back to the accounts receivable people and find out where they're coming up with these numbers.
Well, I get the feeling it's somebody behind a desk with a big computer report in front. But
Well, in my business, we have a saying that if there is no one who intervenes, then the secretaries will make the decision.
Or whoever.
That's precisely what's going on now, and I think we need to step in the middle of it, and before it goes too much further, say, wait a minute.
Okay.
Here's the decisions that are going to be made, and not allow the secretaries to make those kinds of decisions.
let's replace them, John.
Yeah. Gus, I'm going to have to get some details of what you're talking about from you,
Okay.
so I can go back to Michael with that and start at the chain.
What concerns me the most is that there are outside sources like NPC and CIT that for some unknown reason have access to all of this information, and Sunbeam doesn't. I can't believe that somebody couldn't generate a printout of all the open invoices that have been issued to Thermaster over the past 2 months and say, okay, this is for this piece of equipment, okay, this is these parts that went over, okay, this, and make it crystal clear rather than me pulling it from 16 different folders.
I'll get that.
That it could be easily accessible. If it's accessible to CIT, then it should be accessible to Sunbeam.
I can get that right here in Hattiesburg. I'll get that.
Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda for next week to just follow up, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to do any work between now and then.
Okay.
But just keep on following it. And
I think
try to help you out,
I
guys.
think you guys want us worried about production output and issues that affect your guys' lives and not money. Sure, money is important, but that should not be the focus of our attention right now.
Right. Okay. Okay, Joy, anything from your standpoint?
No, I'm fine, Jeff.
Okay, Gus, anything else from yours?
That's it.
Arnie?
No, we're okay.
Okay, anybody around the table here?
We'll see you here Monday, right, Gus?
I'll be there.
All right.
And we've got Von Seal and Eddie coming down. Okay, Jim Breslin, are you on?
I'm on. I've been here, Jim.
Okay, do you have anything?
Nothing at this point, thanks.
Okay. What I've asked Frankie to do is set up the calls for the month of July every Wednesday. And so we'll continue having the conversations until we're to the point where we've got things in place and they're flowing smoothly. Okay? And she'll set up, I think it's going to be the same number, but she'll set it up and get it to everybody. So I appreciate everybody's time. The one other thing is Summer is doing a good job of taking notes for these meetings, and she's sending them out to everybody.
Yes.
A lot of times we move quicker than she can copy things down, so she might not get things 100% as you said them. So would appreciate you reviewing them, and if you get any comments that we misinterpreted what you said, get them back to Summer so we can get the notes corrected. appreciate your help there.
Okay. Would you arrange to have Frankie give me an access number from Mexico City? I'll be there next Wednesday, but I'd like to be involved in this.
Yes, I think you need to stay involved every week, Gus, until we get through this stuff. So Mexico City next Wednesday. Will do.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.